to start making my little shows a regular thing now, just while I'm waiting to get justice. I need to prepare because as soon as I get out of here and find a place to call home, I want to set up my radio station as soon as possible, and then my games company. So, this subject matter, I thought we would talk about why it's so hard to ascend, why ascensions are so hard. Like, why do we have to go through hell in order to appreciate heaven? But that's the point. Even Stoic philosophers like Marcus Aurelius understood appreciating the hard times. Marcus Aurelius actually recommended that people experience poverty because then they would enjoy the finer things in life when they had them. They would appreciate the rich wines. And, like he used to say, take your feet off and walk amongst like the cattle straw on the ground, and let your feet kind of like soak up the straw and smell the dung, and drink the wine and appreciate its flavors, and then you'll appreciate everything when you don't have to work, when it's not survival anymore. And I totally get that. I 100% totally get that. I decided to turn this experience when I went through my ascension. It was actually my ex-husband that introduced Stoicism to me. Stoicism 100% saved my life. Marcus Aurelius is my absolute hero. I adore him. I even want to do for my radio station, I want to do like Stoic hour, philosophy hour, where we sit and talk about, certain Stoic philosophers and their philosophy. And, I want to have a cafe at the foundation called the Philosopher's Corner. So yeah, I'm big into philosophy. It helps make sense of a lot of things, and Stoicism for me, it was like these masters were reading my mind. They understood ascensions in a way that even if you're a woman, it made you feel like an unbreakable warrior. I'm just going to have a sip of my coffee. So, why are ascensions hard? Because God makes us sacrifice the things that aren't necessary, for us in order for us to get the things that we deserve. If we were just given everything handed to us on a plate, we would have no empathy, we wouldn't have any intuition or instinct for anything. We would be completely lacking in the ability to function outside of ourselves. And we are a civilization of humans who are supposed to be helping each other evolve. We're currently not doing that because everyone just, all they care about is themselves and what they can get out of life. Nobody cares about anyone anymore. I'm just trying to get comfortable. When you're chosen to go through an ascension, you're chosen from birth. Your ancestors decide this is the child that we are going to offer to be the one to pay off all our karmic debt. So every child, every baby is born with karmic debt. And then the parents they choose and the life that they create for themselves after they're born paves the way for how fast they do it, how fast they grow, how fast they learn. If we can get our civilizations to the point where by the time they start school, they understand that they need to be honest, and obviously not in a dictatorship kind of way, but we need to be teaching our children the laws of karma and why it's not okay to lie, even if it's because you took a cookie and were afraid to get into trouble. You can't lie, because it'll come back to get you in the future. God never, ever, ever, ever punishes children unless they sin. And there are children that sin in this world, but I mean, there's always an exception to every rule. But it's held, and the debt is collected, like a savings. Your karma coins are saved in the bank of the universe. Excuse me. And then when you're chosen to have your ascension, hang on, so all your karma coins come back, all your karmic debt comes back to be weighed up against you. And then what happens during your ascension will decide how much karmic debt you pay off. Bearing in mind you're already born with your ancestors' karmic debt. So if we can get our kids trying to be morally incorruptible by the time they start school, then we wouldn't need ascensions. We'd already be at our highest morality ever in the history of creation. We wouldn't need ascensions because everyone would have finally got it. So when you're going through an ascension, it is probably a good 80% of dealing with things that happened in your childhood. And it's usually something that most people don't want to have to look at. It's something most people don't want to have to deal with. People would rather just cover it up and pretend it doesn't exist, rather than have to keep looking at it. And unfortunately, when you have to strip yourself bare and whistle yourself down and be free of that baggage so that you can pass through the eye of the needle into the birth of creation, you have to let that stuff go. You have to look at the stuff you don't want to look at. You have to rip the Band-Aid off and look at the wound so that it can heal. It's just a matter of finding the right way to do it. People don't usually know how to express that kind of pain or go down into where it came from. They might know, I'm like this because of my dad, but why were you like that because of your dad? What was your dad like? What was your dad's childhood? Like, you have to look at it, you have to pick everything apart. So that it can be built up again, pure. And it usually, I've got to be honest and say, it usually ends in the person ascending, looking at it once I've broken it apart and saying, you know what, I forgive him. Or, you know what, I'm going to let this go because I don't need to hold on to this anymore. Because children don't understand the traumas they go through because they're so pure and innocent, and they can't figure out why these people they were supposed to trust hurt them. By the time they become adults and they're asked to look back at that childhood wounding, it's painful and they want to avoid doing it at all costs. But it always turns out that once they pick it apart and look at it from a different point of view, it actually ends up not being as bad as what they thought it was, but not as emotionally taxing or draining on them. Like, they're able to look at it from a perspective where it's like, I don't need to hold on to this. Like, it's okay for me to let that go. That actually had nothing to do with me. Because kids don't understand. Was it my fault? Was it something I did? Am I a bad child? Do they not love me? And then that question sticks in their head. And then because they grow up not being able to figure it out and more people keep coming in to hurt them the same kind of way, is it me? There must be something wrong with me. And it's like, no, it's because that's what you're drawn to. because it's what you knew at home. Like attracts like. So, well, if I can be around these people who are acting like that person, then maybe I can understand why that person did it to me. But then those people do the same thing, and then the next people, and then the next people. And then all you know is bad relationships where you're hurt and betrayed, abused, whatever, and you can't figure out why the hell it keeps happening. And it's because you didn't address the original abuser or the original trauma. When you address the original trauma, you end up looking at it from a perspective of like, I never thought to see it that way. Like when I sit with couples or I sit with someone who's trying to figure it out, and I'll say like, have you ever thought maybe they were jealous of you because of this? And they're like, oh, I never looked at it like that. Oh, and then yeah, it changes their whole, and then it changes their whole perspective, and then they're able to just let it go. So all that baggage that they held on for 20, 30 years is suddenly gone because they finally chose to look at it and then pick it apart and reconstruct it in a way that suddenly the monster under the bed is just your cat with glowing eyes. So hang on, I'm just taking sips. The things you don't want to look at are the things you have to look at. You can't avoid it. All it does is delay your ascension. You will just keep repeating the same cycles and the same patterns over and over and over again. You will never get off the hamster wheel unless you make the decision to just step aside. Um, you're required to have periods, long periods, very long periods of isolation because you have to basically incubate. You're being born again. You basically have to die and kill off every part of who you thought you were, who you thought your family were, where you thought your life was going. You're asked to kill all of that off, tear it all down, and start again. And that requires a lot of introspection. Oh, God, I can't talk. Introspective or introspection, and, and contemplation and personal growth and healing. Learning to love yourself again, falling in love with yourself again. You know, the innocence of a child. Oh my God, I love children so much. I love their innocence and how they really truly believe that they are puppies and fairies and superheroes and stuff like that because their imagination is just unadulterated and pure and of such a high frequency that they feel safe enough to be dinosaurs. Oh my God, I love them. I love telling them stories and being silly with them and, banging pots and oh my God, I love them. I love the innocence of a child. There's nothing more beautiful and healing than being around children when they're happy and in their imagination and laughing. We have to protect that innocence of our child self within our adult self. We have to allow that innocent child to come out again, and it's our adult selves turning around to our child selves and giving them a hug and saying, it's okay, I've got you this time. It's okay to come out now. It's safe. It's safe for you to come out now, little girl, little boy. I've got you. I've got you this time. And until the people that I help ascend are at that point, then it's me saying to them, I've got you. Nephew, I've got you. Niece-in-law, I've got you. I've got you this time. You might not have had anyone when you were growing up the first time, but the second time I've got you. That's why they call me Mama Bear. There's nothing a mama bear won't do to protect her cubs. I call my neighbour upstairs Cubby. Um, I know a lot of people think that I'm maybe strict or bossy or domineering in that, but it's really not. I'm protective. I'm actually a really affectionate, emotional person with the people that I love. My love language is the physical because my twin is Taurus, and they rule um, like the growing of the home, building the nest egg, um, building building the nest. Well, yeah, technically building the nest egg, but building the nest, um, protecting the fields, and Taurus bull. So, and nurturing and feeding our calves and all of that. So, um, for the people that I love who are in my inner circle, my love language is like feeding them, hugging them, touching them, kissing them, giving them hugs and cuddles. And I'm very physical and tactile. I'll bake them things, I'll cook them things, I will make products for them. It's all physical. My love language is Taurus. So, because the Scorpio side is kind of like, why should I let you touch me? It's true. It's true. Oh, God. One of the things you also have to deal with as well when you're going through an ascension that you don't want to have to deal with is you have to be honest with yourself. And a lot of people don't want to have to deal with admitting they have faults or that they made a mistake or that they did something wrong. You have to take ownership for the things you got wrong because you're here to clear off karmic debt. We are learning souls, we're learning beings. Every evolutionary cycle, life cycle that our atoms go through has a soul in the core of it that is here for the learning experience. And there is no harder learning experience for a conscious soul than that of the human one. Animals and plants don't have it as hard as us. The human experience is complicated and it's messy and it's dangerous and it's obscene and it's painful and it's gory and it's messy and it's just so, oh my, like cows haven't really had to evolve that much. Cats haven't had to evolve pretty much at all. Once they reached perfection, they're considered the most evolutionary perfect creature on the planet. Um, and they stopped having to evolve like thousands of years ago. Whereas we're still evolving because we haven't gotten it yet. Um, so you have to be honest with yourself. You have to own up to your responsibilities because you're an ascended being. If look at it this way, if you're chosen to ascend, God is asking you to become an angel, and if you're good enough, you'll become an archangel, which is what I was saying about when you get to the seventh stage of ascension, how you've got like a stump for a wing and you've got like feathers falling off the other wing and these like big massive bald patches and you got one sandal and all of that. You have to fight for your position in the kingdom of heaven. God doesn't just give those halos and magic swords to just anybody. You have to prove yourself worthy, like Thor had to prove that he was worthy of that hammer. And he's a god. So if you're being chosen to represent God through your medium of writing, music, art, programming, whatever, you have to earn the right to hold that position. You can't just walk into it thinking, oh, well, I'm a good person, I do charitable things. So Yes, but you still sit around the table and gossip with people about people you don't even know or have any business talking about. So, so I'm just trying to get comfortable. Yeah, so it's always the things we don't want to look at or the things we don't want to have to face up to that are the reason why our lives don't progress. We're the ones stopping ourselves from advancing further than we should have, and it's all because we slow time down by refusing to look at the tears in the fabric of our timeline. It requires us having to take a needle and thread and sew it all up and fix the things that got ripped and torn in order for the sail to catch the wind and send the ship across the ocean. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't catch the wind. And the only way you're going to catch the wind is if you sew up the tears in those sails. But you have to be the one to sew it up. You're the needle and the thread. The thread of your timeline and the needle being poking holes in the things that look perfect on the outside but aren't really. I'm making good money. I don't like my job. I'm not happy, but I'm making good money. I've been doing the same thing for 20, 30 years, whatever. I wish I'd rather be at home writing that book, or I'd rather be off doing this, so do it. Because the thing is, you only get one opportunity to get it right this lifetime. Otherwise, you have to come back, and the lessons are a lot harder the next time around. Your lives get harder and harder and harder the less you do the work on yourself. And if you're chosen to ascend, you're given a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, but I promise you the rewards that you get coming out the other side far outweigh anything that you lose having to work on yourself. I 100% guarantee it. The person you become at the end of it, it gets to the point where it's like, why didn't I just do this sooner? Why didn't I just work on myself sooner? I mean, of course we know that it's because everything happens in divine timing, but most of the people I know that have gone through ascensions either stopped believing in God, or never believed in God, or questioned God, or were brought up in quite a religious house where they felt suffocated by God. Which is why they're chosen, because then when you ascend at the end and you're all like, I'm a messenger of God, sort of thing, then God could go, hey, yeah, look what I did. I turned a heathen into an angel. He takes credit for everything, but so he should. He's the master craftsman, isn't he? So he doesn't make mistakes. It's just that he expects a lot from the people who have his permission to be prophets and messengers and people of the cloth. If he's going to call you a witch in his Bible and it's somebody that he has respect for, then it's because you've done something right that's pleased him. And when he chooses, many are called, few are chosen. We're all called to ascend, but few are chosen because few people actually want to put in the effort to do the work, which is sad, because everybody I know makes such a big deal of having to look at a certain thing until they sit with me and I show them how to look at it a different way, and then suddenly all that weight that they carried for all those years just goes away, because they get stuck in their head. So it's like it just goes round and round, loop, 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 loop. And then I come along and I pop the bubble with the needle. I pop the blister with the needle. And then it all just comes gushing out. And then they're healed and they're like, oh, well, that wasn't so bad. You know, well, I held on to that for so long because I chose to look at it this way instead of that way. My voice is doing that Robert F. Kennedy thing again. So, yeah, they're painful because you have to rip the Band-Aid off, and a lot of our Band-Aids are on for 30, 40 years. We just don't want to look at the boo-boo. They become like skeletons in your psychological closet, and you're being asked to open the closet and confront the skeletons in the closet and the monsters under the bed and kids' imagination. You know, it's this big scary thing, and it turns out when you actually look at it, it was a broken mother. See, like my mother, for example, when I did the work on the healing with my mother, because she was physically and like verbally abusive, and instead of, when I was healing that part of me as a mother, and looking back at it to help my sister heal from her relationship with our mother, because my mother was far worse on my sister Erin than she was on me. I was considered the mama's baby, mama's girl, but it's only because we weren't supposed to survive pregnancy and birth, my mum and I. So I think she always was just a little bit more protective of me because of our situation together. But she was brutal on me. She used to drag me across the floor by my hair. The only reason why she stopped hitting me is because she couldn't reach my head and face. And because she used to grab me by the hair and punch and slap my face and claw at my face and that. But once I got too tall for her to reach, she stopped, because she was only 5'2" and I'm 6 foot. So, yeah. But instead of hating my mum and resenting my mum, I just think about the stories that I heard about my mum, like how my biological grandfather, he's not my grandfather, I don't claim him as my grandfather, broke my mum's jaw when she was 18, 6 weeks before she married my dad, because she had said to him, I'm going to the movies with George, instead of, may I go to the movies with George. So on her wedding day, I think she had a wire in her jaw, because he punched her in the jaw. I think about those kind of stories, and then I think, I can't hold her responsible for that, because basically her as a mother beating me was her father beating her. She was just being Papa. And so I had to fight and beat Papa myself by not hitting my children. It didn't do anything anyway, and they were too smart. It got to the point where they'd just put themselves on the naughty step. So I had to decide very early on that I wasn't going to be hitting my kids. I wasn't, that wasn't a cycle that I was going to carry forward. So I fought my grandfather. I fought my mother's demons for her by refusing to be like my grandfather with my children. And that's a karmic cycle, that's a karmic debt. You can look at it and say, but he was beaten by his father and stuff. I'm not here to pay off grandfather karmic debt. I'm here to pay off mother karmic debt. And I did that by fighting my mother's demons. I fought my mother's demons for her. I know the reason why she used to target my head and face was she obviously, when people target your head and face, like in dreams, or when people attack you and they hit your head and face, it's because you either remind them of someone they don't want to look at, or they're jealous. With me, I think it was because I reminded her of people she didn't want to look at. She targeted my sister Erin because she was jealous of the relationship that my sister had with my dad, because they were both Aries. And Aries, all the Aries in my family are all really tight. Like they're all like best friends. They're like the Aries club, and there's a lot of Aries in my family. So I know how to deal with them. I know how deeply they love, but they got on like a house on fire. Literally, Aries get on like a house on fire with other Aries and Libras, because they're the twin. So my dad, whenever my sister used to have one of her Aries fire sign tantrum hormonal girl episodes or was a bitch, my dad always knew how to bring my sister down. My dad was the only one in our family who could handle Erin. God bless her. I said to her the other day, I love you so much. I said, you're the most important woman in my life. I said, I'm so grateful I had you as a big sister. I said, I can't believe that this is coming from someone who used to give you a dead leg and punch you in the face. Oh my God. But see, that's the thing. My sister and I used to like knock 10 bells out of each other. And oh, it's sibling rivalry. And it's like, no, it's not. We were mimicking our mother. Mum had a problem with me, she took it out on me. Mum had a problem with Erin, she took it out on Erin. Mum's issue was really with Dad and her father, so she took it out on me and my sister. And then, of course, we were high funks, so we took it out on each other. But now, she's like my right hand woman. Yeah, she's like my spine. She's literally like the magnesium and calcium that hold my bones up. It's I've been helping her. We've been helping each other since we lost Amber, also at Aries. And yeah, it's just the change and transformation has been unbelievable. I haven't seen her in almost 20 years. I miss her desperately. I've been hoping and praying we could be together for Christmas. I need to get this over and done with now so that I can be with my family. I'm really looking forward to writing The War Babies. I just contacted one of my cousins to find out about my Uncle Sonny, to see if it's true, if he really was in the Māori battalion. If it turns out he was just telling me tenors, if he was just lying, like because my nana had only died a few hours before, so he may have been just trying to distract me. If it turns out he was telling tenors, I still want to do it about the Māori battalion. I just won't make it about him specifically or based around his inspiration. But if it turns out it is true, then I'd maybe at least like to try and give the character his name. So I contacted my cousin the other day. Yesterday was it? Yeah, I've started the ball rolling on doing some. I asked her if there's anyone left, and yeah, we'll take it from there. I want to get hold of Uncle Sonny's family and take it from there. So I've started the ball rolling on that with the research for the movie. So I'm writing that. I'm keeping my head down. I'm practicing my radio shows because literally, as soon as I get a house, as soon as I get justice and I get a house where I can have my own recording room, I'm going to get these radio shows pumped out and we'll get this games company started. And then, because I can get all that going while I have time to look for the foundation, get an architect and contractors, and then we can move the games company into the grounds. But I need to get the games being made first, and like my apps, my dating app especially. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping busy. I'm making my shows. So you might see a lot of these shows pop up. It's just me recording thoughts, practicing for the for the real deal. And I do get really nervous, by the way. It might not seem like it, but I have slight panic attacks just mere seconds before I hit that button. So I just don't want to mess it up. I'm aware of how important my information is, and I don't want to get any of it wrong, because I don't want to give anyone the wrong impression when they put their faith in me that I'm going to be able to point them in the right direction. If they're the magnet, I'm the compass. So, yeah. And I'm a North Star, so I have to keep the compass facing north, and then I know they're always being pulled in the right direction. Other than being around the people who are the opposite, the ones in the Schumann resonance, where they're the magnet to my compass, but where it's pulling my needle in the wrong direction. So, yeah, so go easy on yourself. Give yourself those days to wallow. Let yourself feel your feelings. Hurt if you're hurt. Cry if you're emotional. Even men have to understand that it is psychologically unhealthy to hold in your emotions. If you want to cry and you stop yourself from crying, you're doing yourself psychological damage. Even if you have to cry in private, or to that one person you know won't judge, you have to let it out. You can't let it in, because it's not healthy. When you hold in your tears, it comes out as rage, as anger. You'll start throwing things, slamming car doors, throwing books down, getting snappy and snippy. That's because you're holding back a cry. So if you're around people who are angry all the time, it's because they're not crying. And they need to have a cry. They need to let it all out. It's the emotional release valve. And you got to just let it all out and just trust, because the whole thing is this is a test of faith. You're being asked to take a leap off that ledge and trust that before you hit the ground, God has given you those wings. He's saying, take the leap and prove to me you can fly to the top. But you have to do it by earning each feather. Every test you go through is earning a different feather to put on your back, so that by the time you hit the ground, and it is a long road to ascension, it is a long fall to an ascension, by the time you reach the bottom, not only do you have those wings, you realise you weren't falling, you were flying. You weren't falling at all. You were actually rising. You were just seeing everything from an upside down point of view, because you weren't seeing things correctly. You were seeing it from the wrong end of the telescope. And it's only when you realise that you've actually been flying the whole time, then you look back and you go, oh my God, I wasn't falling into the abyss. I was flying to my new beginning and letting all my troubles go. And taking a leap of faith is the most terrifying thing you'll ever do. But when you realise that you've just been flying this whole time, you're like, oh my God, really? You make such a big deal out of it when you're going through it. But when you come through the other side, it's like, actually, that wasn't that bad. Because we fear what we don't understand. And when we're asked to take a leap of faith and we're falling free, what we think is free falling in pitch darkness, of course it's terrifying. But that's when God says, just have faith that I am the air and I will carry you. And so you just kind of, like the Silver Surfer, or in the Quantum Menace, he's called Bodhi Gale. He's the wind walker. He walks on the wind, and his name's Bodhi Gale. And God is the wind. He is the air that we breathe. Yahweh. They believe the word Yahweh is the sound that we make when we breathe, because He is the breath of life. He is the air that we breathe. And when you're free falling into nothingness, and you don't know what's at the bottom, that's God saying, just have faith that I am the air. I am the air that carries you, and I am the air that you breathe. Just relax and let it go. And then you end up enjoying it, like jumping out of a plane in a parachute. You just wait till you land, but you enjoy the view. That's what I'm doing. I'm enjoying the view, because my view is where I'm going. And where I'm going is just going to be a place where we step away from technology and we just live in our imaginations and creativity. People will walk through my gates and just live in imagination and creativity, adults included, just in really classy, cool, productive, money-making, investment-worthy ways. People will leave staying with us or engaging with us just feeling so relaxed, because I'm creating, not paradise, but yeah, I'm creating like an energetic, emotional, psychological paradise for people that walk through my gates, because there's going to be, no apps pinging and AI and digital, nothing. It's just going to be people coming together to have some fun, to help children learn how to be more creative and fine-tune their imaginations. Remind them, or let them embrace being a dinosaur and a fairy, and if it means I have to dress up as a fairy too, and put it in a movie with them, then so be it. Which is why I have to practice making these videos, because I have to learn to talk in front of people. So I'm being gentle with myself and talking to people that I know are there, but I can't see them. At the next stage, you'll be getting to the point where I have to talk to people and I'm looking straight at them. That's the bit I'm not looking forward to. I don't know how people like Vladimir Putin and all that do it. Like being around all those people, and the king, and celebrities and that. Yuck. But it has to be done. If it was just me and kids, wouldn't bother me. But dealing with adults and that, no. No. I'm not looking forward to it at all. So I'm training myself how to talk to the public. Next, it's me talking to the public. I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not going to be able to drink, so I can't be drunk standing up there unless I'm karaokeing. But as a motivational speaker, as someone who's going to be mentoring students and staff, I'm going to have to talk to people, and it's all, can't I just sit in my house and write and do silly voices for characters? But I have to. It's for the children. I'm doing things I don't want to do because that's how much helping the children means to me, including not allowing myself to date or be sexuals with the men's, because I kind of had that option when my husband left in 2019, getting back in the dating field. My boys were like, please don't. Can you just save yourself for one man? And I was like, okay. So, when I'm not dealing with that, I'm just creating all this beautiful stuff behind the curtains, waiting for the right people to drop in my lap who want to be a part of the show. So, I hope I've helped explain everything. And if I haven't, you can leave a comment in the thing of my YouTube or my social media when I post this. And I'll speak to you later until I can think of the next subject. I'm just literally trying to keep my head down, keep myself busy, and perfect my skills, my communication skills. The 7th stage of Ascension as well, you have this overwhelming need to want to share your experience. You've when you get to the air stage, it's all about perfecting the art of communication, how you communicate, how you want to come across, finding your voice, and the seventh stage of ascension is then wanting to pass on your wisdom and knowledge. So you have an overwhelming need to want to share your experiences with people. My nephew is starting to get to that point now. So by the time we're ready to go, and he's got his old radio show set up and his radio hook linked up in his house in Queensland, Australia, he'll be ready to go. He'll be a booming voice of a generation of men that didn't know they needed that kind of perspective from a man. He's very smart. He's very wise. Well, I mean, he's an Aquarian. I love Aquarians. They're so kooky and weird. They march to the beat of their own drum and they don't care. I adore Aquarians. I love their kooky weirdness and, I just adore them. They're rainbow people. They're unicorn people. They're all the things that are mystical and magical about the imagination and dreams and dreamlands and making wishes come true, and that's Aquarius. They're so unbelievably creative, but then having said that, his wife, the Sagittarian, oh my God, that woman has a gift for gardeners, like landscape gardening, like you wouldn't believe. She's just got a gift with nature and plants and water features, and she's so talented. So they're the perfect couple. Right, so if I think of another subject, I'll hit record, but I am also trying to rest and recover. I'm still recovering from everything that happened. My body went through quite the shock for a long period of time, and I'm still slowly healing from things. One thing I will say to you, and this is something that I seem to have noticed, certainly the people that I know are going through ascensions, but it's like every time you break through a major cycle, you seem to expel goo. It doesn't matter if it's like you suddenly get pimples or you get a boil or like a blister or an infection or, a sinus infection where your snot's all green. Goo will come out of your body, and it's exercising your demons. It's all the toxicity, I'm not even joking, that your body is held on to during that cycle being expelled. It's spitting out the toxic, it's spitting out the poison, and it will come out as a goo. I'm not talking about like urine infection or anything like that. I'm talking about like things that have like pus, snot or phlegm in it. Goo, blood, goo. Something that like oozes from the body. So prepare for that. It is perfectly normal, but just remember you're expelling the goo. Like in Spirited Away, when that god hops in the bath and she puts the salts in, and then all the goo gets washed away, and it turns out he's that beautiful, pristine water god. It's like that. You expel the goo. You'll end up like with an abscess or a boil or like pimples or like pustules, anything where it's like goo, snot, phlegm or blood. It's nothing to worry about. You just have to let yourself go through the cycle and heal your body over it, keep yourself clean, but just allow the process to happen, because it's literally drawing the toxins out that your body's been holding on to or that you've been forced to absorb from other people. So I forgot to mention that the other day, but now I have, so just so you know. But it means that you're on the brink of a brand new cycle. the birth of the new. You're going through a total rebirth, and of course you don't get born without the waters breaking. You know, you don't get birth without the goo. Okay, so I'm going to go now, and I shall speak to you later. Hold your head up high and know that I have got your back. I've got your back, guys. I know I'm done. Okay, I'll speak to you later. Mwah. Ka kite anō.